After spending more than 30 years behind bars for killing their parents, Lyle and Eric Menendez have a hope at being released from prison. Convicted of the brutal murder of their parents and spending nearly 3 decades in prison, Menendez brothers has yet to wait for January 30th for their possible freedom. But is the decision politically motivated? Whether these TikTok campaigns and public opinion play a role in this recent surge of sympathy for Menendez brothers. What are the sentiments of Menendez family? And most importantly, should they be released? Welcome back to Prison Stories. In this episode, we'll explore the chances of the Menendez brothers regaining their freedom. Will they be released? And more importantly, should they be? Let's dive in and uncover the truth. Jose and Kitty Menendez were found dead inside their Beverly Hills mansion after being shot 13 times in August 1989. At midnight, a 911 call alerted authorities to the gruesome murder. The brothers claimed they had returned home to discover their parents dead. Police initially suspected a mob hit, but the brothers' extravagant spending and frequent partying soon redirected the investigation toward them. It was ultimately a confession to a psychologist that helped lead to their arrest when the girlfriend of their doctor audiotaped their admission and reported it to authorities. Menendez brothers claimed self-defense, arguing that they were convinced their parents were going to kill them. However, prosecutors said the killings were premeditated, committed so the men could obtain their parents' multi-million-dollar estate. When the trial came to an end, each one was convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, where they remain today. Although Lyle and Eric asked to be housed in the same prison when their sentences began in 1996. But prison officials preferred to separate them. Both brothers remained separated for years, connected only through letters. Lyle continued to request a placement closer to his brother. Finally, on February 22, 2018, he was transferred from Northern California's Mule Creek State Prison to San Diego's Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility, where Eric had been incarcerated since 2013. Lyle initially lived in a different housing unit than Eric. But on April 4, 2018, prison officials moved Eric to the same unit as Lyle. Both were able to see each other for the first time since 1996, once only able to communicate via letters. Now the brothers can meet during exercise, recreation, and meal periods. As for their personal life, both brothers married while serving life sentences without the possibility of parole. Lyle Menendez married twice. He married former model Anna Erickson in 1996. Though the marriage ended in divorce after she reportedly discovered he was corresponding with other women. In 2003, he married Rebecca Sneed, a magazine editor, in a prison ceremony. On November 21, 2024, Rebecca Sneed announced on Facebook that she and Lyle Menendez had separated after 21 years of marriage. Eric Menendez married Tammy Saccoman in 1999, following a pen-pal relationship that blossomed into a romance. Tammy has been outspoken about her commitment to Eric. Menendez have been living their lives in prison for nearly 35 years. But what has changed in their case to spark renewed attention? Why is there a surge of public support now? Is it merely the result of viral TikTok campaigns? Or has Netflix's successful monster series reignited interest in their plight? Well, a lot of publicity has to do with Netflix drama, and there's no doubt about it. But that is not all of it. The series has reignited intense interest in a case that had largely faded from mainstream conversation in recent decades. New questions are emerging. Was the jury too severe in their judgment? Would the public view their allegations of sexual abuse with greater empathy if the trial took place today, in the context of the post-Me Too era? Especially in the wake of new evidence. Suddenly we see celebrities like Kim Kardashian supporting the brother and visiting them in prison to show support. But what exactly is this new evidence in favor of the Menendez brothers? The evidence came from a then underage member of the 1980s Puerto Rican boy band Menudo. The band member alleged Jose Menendez drugged and raped him during a visit to Menendez's home. Jose worked as an executive at record company RCA at that time. This shifted the whole case. Menendez brothers were talking about the abuse but couldn't prove it. Another significant piece of new evidence in the Menendez brothers' case is a letter that one of the brothers allegedly sent to a cousin years before the murders. In the letter, the brother described being molested by their father. The defense argues this letter provides critical proof of the brothers' claims that they endured ongoing abuse. This new Menendez brothers' abuse evidence could impact the case if the court admits it. During their original trial, the court excluded much of the alleged abuse evidence. Now, attorneys for the Menendez brothers aim to use it to argue for a lesser sentence. If the court recognizes the letter as valid evidence, it could change the perspective on the original conviction. The defense argues that the jury might have viewed the killings as an act of manslaughter rather than murder had it known more about this abuse. This change in classification could lead to their release, as they have already served over 35 years in prison, well beyond the typical sentence for manslaughter. Probably seeing this new evidence and going with public opinion, Los Angeles's previous district attorney George Gaskin gave a new turn to this case before leaving office. He recommended Menendez brothers' case to be resentenced, which could lead to their immediate release from prison. However, the new attorney, Nathan Hochman, has promised to be tougher on crime. Menendez brothers' potential resentencing was originally scheduled on December 11th. That has now been postponed until January 30th. The judge is expected to hear from a variety of witnesses in the case and examine what happened during the original trials and the prison records of both Eric and Lyle. So their freedom hinges on their time in prison and the decisions of other members of Menendez family as well. As for their prison time, both have been model prisoners with no behavior issues during their incarceration, but have instead taken leadership roles in rehabilitation programs and projects to improve prison life for inmates. But beside all that public support, what has the Menendez family been saying? Earlier this month, more than 24 members of the Menendez family issued a public plea for Eric and Lyle to be released 35 years after killing their parents. Those family members allege the boys endured horrific abuse at the hands of their father and are not a threat to society. Though the family isn't in total agreement, a lawyer for Kitty Menendez's brother, Milton Anderson, called the brothers cold-blooded and said their actions shattered their family and left a trail of grief that has persisted for decades. Jose was shot 6 times, and Kitty was shot 10 times, including a shot to her face after Eric reloaded. Mr. Anderson believes his nephews should stay in prison for their heinous act. As the January 30th hearing approaches, the Menendez brothers' case continues to divide public opinion and stir intense debate. For some, their claims of abuse and decades of rehabilitation make a strong case for mercy and a second chance. For others, the brutal nature of their crimes remains unforgivable. But this case is more than a legal battle. It's a reflection of evolving societal attitudes toward abuse, justice, and accountability. Will the court view the new evidence as enough to acquit Menendez brothers? Or will the brothers remain behind bars, paying the price for their actions? Let us know your thoughts. Should Lyle and Eric Menendez be granted freedom, or should their sentences remain unchanged? Thank you for watching Prison Stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of stories that challenge the boundaries of justice. See you in the next episode.